Let's hope I don't get scared. So when Pastor first asked me to minister for this opportunity, I began to pray about it. God, what do you want me to speak to the people? What would touch someone or really stick to someone's mind? And couldn't help but to think of children. So when we think of children in prayer, we always go straight to Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way that it should go, and when it's older, it will not depart. So I began to think of this and think of the stories in my life where I've seen my mom pray in front of me. She always told me, I'm nearing the age of 18, and she always told me and taught me how to pray and how to read my Bible, because she said, when you're 18 and when you're old and you're living on your own, I won't be there to remind you. You're going to have it in you on your own. So I begin to think of those stories in my life. I've seen my mom pray in front of me since I was just a little feller. And I think of a story that happened a couple weeks ago. My friend, he was running. We were playing at school, and he hit his head and busted it open, and it was bleeding, and the ambulance was called. They had to airlift him out. And all 60-something kids there, and they're watching. I'm the only one walking the cafeteria. I'm walking the volleyball court. God, give him another chance. God, don't let him die. And I think of the times that I've prayed through, and it's because I saw my mama. So I looked up this word train. It says train up a child. So to train means to teach a particular skill or type of behavior through practice and instruction over a period of time. Your children are not going to learn to pray on one-time touches and you just telling them to pray. But they got to see it. It's a ball player when he's watching or when he's practicing for his games. He's not just getting yelled at by the coach how to do it, but they're watching film. They're watching videos and look what they're doing, and we got to do it like that. So I think of times in my life where I prayed and I prayed through and I prayed over a situation. It's because I've seen my family pray their way out of trouble over and over. Then I begin to think of 2 Timothy 3, verse 14. And it says, continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and which thou hast been assured of, knowing whom thou hast learnt them from. Brother Danny, I looked up this word assured. It's to have confidence, to be convinced. You got to be convinced prayer works. You got to teach your children it works. Ain't nothing else going to do. It works. So, Sunday, I go to study for my notes and they're gone. So I'm praying up there in the booth up there working. God, what am I going to do? And thank God he gave me everything back. But he also added a little story to it. I begin to think of the prodigal son. See, he didn't leave home right away as a elementary school or as a kid. But he grew up in the Father's house. He grew up under the teaching of the Father. But it says when he was away, or when he was older, that he asked for the inheritance and he left home. But reading the story, a particular word stood out to me. It said that after he went to the far country and spent all he had, it says, and he went and he spent all that he had, and there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and he joined himself to a citizen of that country to send him to feed in his fields, to feed the swine. So this particular word stands out to me, joined. So this prodigal son, he's raised under the teaching of the Father's house. He sees the servants. He knows the whole church emotion. But he goes out in the world and he joins himself up with a citizen of that land. You got to watch who your kids is joining themselves up with. I looked up this word join. It means to link. The definition for link is to have a relationship to something. They're connected. You got to watch who your kids are connected for. Sometimes, and I've seen this so much at school, some kids bring out the bad in each other. And then there's some kids that bring out the good in each other. You got to watch your kids to make sure their friends ain't bringing out the bad in them. You got to make sure they ain't bringing out the lying, the sneaky. I've seen so many children befriend people and they sneak from under their parents. And this is where we go back to train up a child. You got to have them trained up for when the enemy comes after them. They say, "No, I've been warned. I've done."
Come on, Austin. Come on.
So many times in my life, especially, I'm about to graduate this May, and just this year it's been looking over my kind of school life, and I think of opportunities where kids approach me with things, and you tell them, no, I don't know better. That road don't lead that way. And I've talked to other friends, and I've been pointing them the way. Another word for this word train is to point the way. It's to point the way. You're to point the way to your children. But so we're to point the way to children. But another verse, it says to bring them up in the nurture and admiration of the Lord. And I looked up this word admiration. It means to rebuke, to reprove. So sometimes you got to teach your kids to pray, but you got to teach them wait doesn't mean no. I don't know where I'd be if I wasn't sitting under pastor and he taught me that sometimes wait doesn't mean no. Sometimes you got to teach them, yes, the Lord is kind and the Lord is merciful, but there's a time where he crosses his arms and he says wait, but you can't give up. You can't give up. So I begin to think about this prodigal son, though. He, again, goes off and he joins himself to this citizen who has him feeding the swine. He's having him do something he was not raised to do. Pigs were not involved in Hebrew culture. You did not touch swine, feed swine, handle swine. So he's having him do something he was not raised to do. And after he began to be in want and he is starving, he's starving so bad he would eat with the pigs. But he came to himself. He came to himself and said, "I will arise and go to my father." So back to the verse I've been reading over and over, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This prodigal son remembered my father's house. He remembered my fathers have servants who aren't hungry. So he began to arise and go, and he goes to the father's house. And as you keep reading through the story, the father restores him, and he was waiting the whole time. And the whole time I began to preparing this message, I kept hearing Sister Laura she kept singing in my head, "It won't always be like this." So to talk to the parents real quick, it won't always be like this. That little boy that's gone, that little girl that's away from home, it won't always be like this.
Come on.
That empty spot at the table, that empty bedroom in the house, it's not always going to be like this. They're coming home in Jesus' name.